A U.S. Border Patrol agent is now under investigation, potentially going to be arrested, or at the very least facing some sort of criminal penalty for simply doing his job. This is from the Daily Mail. A U.S. Border Patrol agent was caught, returning illegal migrants to Mexico after they illegally crossed the border. So this is why he's under investigation. A Border Patrol agent, think about this, a Border Patrol agent is potentially going to be arrested because he patrolled the border, because he tried to return illegal aliens after they illegally crossed the border. So this is just more proof of what we've been saying on the show. We talk about the Great Replacement, right? Vivek Ramaswamy, the media exploded after he talked about the Great Replacement on the debate stage. The ADL came out and said that white supremacists were praising Vivek Ramaswamy for spreading a false white supremacist conspiracy theory about the Great Replacement. But there are two questions, right? These are the two questions that you need to ask yourself. If you're trying to decide as to whether or not this theory is true. Number one, is a demographic replacement happening? The answer is yes. You look at the demographics of this country back in 1960, you look at the demographics of this country today, and absolutely it is happening. We went over some statistics on the show. Just under the Biden presidency alone, there's been 8 million people that have illegally crossed the border since he took office, and those are the ones that we know about. There's going to be 10, 15, 20 million people that have illegally crossed the border by the time that he leaves office. The foreign-born population share just hit 15% for the first time in history. This wasn't projected to happen until 2030, according to the Census Bureau. It happened within just the first few years of a Biden presidency. So yes, it's happening. The second question is this. Is it deliberate? Is it intentional? And stories like this show that it is. They're arresting anyone who tries to stop it from happening. They're helping to facilitate the movement of these people within the interior of the country. They have admitted on camera that the vast majority of them are allowed to stay, and they're dropping them off at bus stations and airports and paying for their transportation and food and so forth. So it's intentional. It's happening, and it's intentional. And so we're going to talk about this today. Before we do, I just want to thank this video sponsor. This video has been kindly sponsored by Goldco. As you know, the economy is a disaster. Inflation is out of control. Your money is losing value every single day. You're going to lose about 50% of the value of your money within the next 10 years. This is what's projected. And so that's why I've partnered with a great company called Goldco so that you can protect your investments, you can protect your savings, and protect the value of your money. You can invest in a gold IRA. You can invest in a silver IRA. Go to the link in the description below. Fill out these 4 questions. Get your free gold kit in the mail. Qualified callers are going to get up to $10,000 in free silver. Take this first step. It helps the show tremendously, and you're going to partner with a great company. Make sure to check it out. Links are in the description below. All right, so let's get to this here. This is from the Daily Mail. The U.S. Border Patrol has opened an investigation into an agent who was caught illegally turning a family of asylum seekers who were already in the U.S. back to Mexico. DailyMail.com can reveal. The move is in violation of U.S. law and Border Patrol policies that require agents to arrest anyone who has entered the country illegally. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. Okay, so another thing is this, right? If you want to talk about, is this intentional? Is this deliberate? You go back to that clip of Joe Biden back when he was vice president, where he said that there's going to be an endless amount of immigration, nonstop. White people are going to become a minority, and this is a good thing. That's one piece of evidence, right, that's been around for a while. But then you can also look at the statistics and how they're not trying to stop this from happening. They're arresting people who are trying to stop this from happening. But then also you can look at, like, all of the Trump-era policies that they've ended, like the Wait in Mexico policy, Title 42. They weren't even enforcing Title 42. And so if you're not enforcing Title 42 in the first place, why would you announce an end to it? The only answer can be that you're trying to provide like an open, come one, come all invitation to people out there, and you're getting the result that you sought to get. U.S. Customs and Border Protection's Office of Professional Responsibility is reviewing the situation. U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the parent agency of the Border Patrol, told DailyMail.com Monday. So a Border Patrol agent under investigation for patrolling the border. That's basically what it comes down to. And we have this article. This is up on dailyveracity.com. Border agents caught on camera telling migrants they're free to go and free to travel wherever they want because this is what they have to do. This is the opposite. This is what they're supposed to do. They're not supposed to patrol the border. They're not supposed to protect the border. They're supposed to accept people, take their asylum claim, and then tell them they're free to go wherever they want, and then also help to set up some sort of, help them get involved in some sort of program so that they can get their transportation within the interior of the country paid for. Take a look at this clip.
Take a look at this video out of San Diego yesterday afternoon. What you're looking at is 3 unmarked white Border Patrol buses. They pull up and they start releasing several hundred illegal immigrants to city streets and sidewalks in San Diego across from a transit terminal. People were on this bus from as far away as China and Pakistan. And keep in mind, these buses are not from Texas. They're not Greg Abbott's buses. These are the Biden administration's buses. This is Border Patrol mass releasing people. You can see handfuls of them are standing around not knowing where they are, what to do, where to go next. And there was a remarkable exchange between one migrant and a Border Patrol agent as he asked the agent, hey, am I okay to travel to Chicago? And the agent says, yep, you're good to go. Take a listen.
You're free to go anywhere you want. You're free to.
Okay, it's no problem if I go to Chicago. Thank you.
And these mass releases also taking place in Border Patrol's Tucson, Arizona sector. We shot this video in Sierra Vista, Arizona yesterday afternoon. A Guatemalan family dropped off by Border Patrol in a Dollar Tree parking lot, just a random store parking lot. They didn't know where they were. They didn't know what to do. And the local sheriff out there says these mass street releases aren't fair to the community. They're not fair to the migrants. Take a listen.
People come from all over the country to smuggle here, endanger this community, the citizens, and we've worked united to combat that. Then to find out yesterday that CBP is doing street releases, as they call them, safe. There's nothing safe about it.
Meanwhile, here in the state of Texas, Texas is trying to stand its own ground without the help of...
So there you go. I mean, and that's the solution, right? These individual states that are controlled by Republican state legislatures have to go like, they have to go hard. They have to become radical. They have to become radical in their reaction to what is happening right now, because that's really the only way. Because the federal government is not interested in stopping this. In fact, the only interest that they have in this is to help speed this process up. Right? And then when they talk about it, when they talk about the Great Replacement, they're boasting about it. They're boasting about how, white people are going to become a minority, and this is a good thing, and diversity is a strength, and Republicans are going to lose these elections because white people are going to become a minority. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to the reasons why here in a moment, but let's continue on with this news story. A family of 6 from Venezuela, including girls aged 1 and 4, illegally crossed from Mexico into El Paso, Texas, Sunday morning. Once on U.S. soil, the family made their way through razor wire, albeit with the baby crying as barbed wire meant to block migrants from entering the country tore their clothes and flesh. I mean, you're not even allowed to have that anymore. I mean, most of these places, they literally welded the gates open, the wall open. In some part of Arizona, I can't remember which part exactly, because they said that it helped prevent floods. And immediately, as soon as they welded this portion open, people just started walking through by the hundreds, or by the thousands, really. The federal agent drove up to the family and ordered them back to Mexico, repeatedly pointing that they go back, as witnessed firsthand by DailyMail.com. They're not supposed to be turning people away, especially if they are already in the U.S. territory. Crystal Sandoval with Las Americas Immigrant Advocacy Group told DailyMail.com it's not supposed to be happening. They're not supposed to be turning people away. It's not supposed to be happening. They're just supposed to be letting them in. They're supposed to be letting every single one of them in and allowing them to stay forever. That's what Alex Mayorkas says. I mean, that's what he admits right here.
But to answer my question directly, of the 17,400 that weren't deported back or didn't return on their own to Mexico, how many of them how many have been released?
He's talking about Haitians specifically here.
Into the U.S.
They're released on conditions,
yes.
and approximately, I think it's about 10,000 or so, 12,000.
Have been released?
Yes.
And of the 5,000 that are still in process?
We will make determinations whether they will be returned to Haiti based on our public health and public interest authorities.
So 10 to 12,000 of the 17,000 have been released into the country. And the other 5,000 or so, we're going to determine whether or not they need to be released into the country. that's some pretty interesting numbers there. Take a look at this. This is talking about the immigration problem more broadly here.
DHS has directly released at least 836,000 aliens into the United States.
So let me just repeat that for you. They have released at least 836,000 of this batch that he's talking about into the United States. Let's play that back one more time.
The DHS has directly released at least 836,000 aliens into the United States since January 21st. Then you add the 207,000 unaccompanied alien children, UACs, and then your Border Patrol estimates somewhere from 200 to 400,000 gotaways. In other words, encounters that are not evade apprehension. So
and gotaways have been a challenge
from the beginning. Yeah,
from the beginning.
But that matches your numbers roughly?
I believe so.
So that's all without Title 42 in place. I mean, with Title 42 in place.
Title 42.
When it's removed, you're going to see more numbers.
Right. And it was. And this was before Title 42 was ended, this interview here. And you are seeing more numbers. We had some CIS numbers that we went over on the show before. Foreign-born share was the highest in history, 15% of the U.S. population. This was not supposed to happen until the year 2033, according to the Census Bureau. Scale of immigration is so high that it appears to have made the new Census Bureau population projections published on November 9th of last year obsolete. The Bureau projected that the foreign-born share was not supposed to hit 15% until 2033. Since President Biden took office in January of 2021, the foreign-born population has grown by 4.5 million, larger than the individual populations of 25 U.S. states. So it goes on. It says if migrants who are in Border Patrol custody make it known to agents that they want to make an asylum claim, U.S. and international law says the migrant must be given the opportunity to do so. If they're asylum seekers, we're supposed to at least process them in a humane way and provide them with a credible fear interview, Sandoval added. The legal requirements to arrest illegal border crossers and allow asylum seekers to make refugee claims is part of the reason the U.S. has seen historic numbers at the border since 2021, resulting in a border crisis. At least 7.8 million have crossed illegally into the U.S. since 2021, within the past 2 years. According to 3 years, according to figures from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, that doesn't include an additional 1 million migrants estimated to have entered the U.S. illegally in the last 3 months of 2023. So we're talking about nearly 9 million people. 9 million, if you include that 1 million, plus all the people that they have no idea about. So, and I know we've talked about this before. We've talked, why do they want to replace? Why do they, one of the biggest things, and I know I've talked about the political, right? We've talked about the, winning elections, right? Because regardless of how many controlled opposition conservative newscasters you watch who talk about a Blexit and a Latinexit and all the rest of this stuff, it's just not going to happen. Okay, it's just, especially with the amount of people that are coming, and the birth rates of the people that are coming into the country. It's just not going to happen. You're going to see Texas turn blue within a couple of election cycles. You're going to see Florida turn blue permanently within a couple of election cycles. They want a slave class of people, and I know I've hammered this point on the show for a long time. The best example I can give is sort of like a Ready Player One scenario. Or if you look at there was some pictures, I think, out of, was it Tijuana, Mexico? There was an Amazon surrounded by like this, in this shanty town, right? There was like this Amazon factory. Let me see if I can find these pictures here. Yeah, this is basically like what these people want, what the ruling class wants. They want a slave class of people that is not going to complain. Right? A low trust, mixed up society that is not going to complain. A slave class of people that is going to show up to the Amazon factory after leaving their virtual reality from their suspended trailer. They're going to show up to the Amazon factory, strap a catheter to their leg, and shut the fuck up. Like that's basically what these people want. Is they sit in their ivory towers and they watch the cities burn beneath them. This is what the ruling class wants. When you see the trust in our institutions plummeting in this country, to the lowest level that we've seen ever, you would think that there would be like a rebellion, right? You would think that you would see some sort of rebellion, and the people would be united in the rebellion against the tyrannical government. Well, that's not going to happen in a mixed up, diverse, low trust society. The opposite of a homogenous society, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And this is another reason. And then, of course, you can go to the Anthony Bourdains or the Bill Maher's, and you can see what they admit. They say that racism would be gone. It's the only solution. A Singapore-type society where everyone's so mixed up, you don't know who to hate. Brett Stevens, who's supposed to be a conservative, who wrote for the New York Times, he's a Jewish American, he said that this is the safest type of society for Jews as well. Jews are the safest in a diverse, multicultural society, and President Trump was a threat to that. So this is their end goal. And again, the solution is for states to become radical in their opposition to this, while they are still controlled by Republican state legislatures. Texas, they want Arizona bad. Texas, Arizona, these pockets of the country that can do something about this. States that are controlled by Republican state legislatures that are not border states should be helping to do something about this. Right? There was the Greg Abbott, I think, tried to do something with the buoys. I think he had like chains or circular saw blades on the buoys or something. At least that's what they called them. And a federal judge ordered to remove these buoys from the river. Like you have to do stuff like that. You have to be just as radical as they are in trying to facilitate this great replacement. You have to be just as radical as they are in your opposition to the great replacement. Before we move on, I just want to thank another sponsor of the show. That is Purged Suddenly, from the makers of the documentary Died Suddenly about the vaccine, as you probably have watched this documentary. Purge Suddenly, make sure to go to purgestore.com, is an all-natural cleanse. And if you haven't done a parasite cleanse, I highly recommend it. I try to do it at least once or twice a year. I'm going to borrow some words here from Dr. Lee Merritt. Cancer, acne, rosacea, MS, and rheumatoid arthritis are 4 different diseases in 4 different areas of medicine, and they can all be treated with parasite medication. So it's all natural. These are things like it's non-GMO. These are things like wormwood. These are things like black walnut. Make sure to check it out. Go to purgestore.com today. Make sure to tell them Vince sent you. Links are in the description below. It helps the show tremendously. All right, so that's the Daily Mail article. I want to remind you guys also make sure to check out Subscribestar. The link is in the description below. If we can get like 1,000 people to subscribe over there for like $2 a month, this will ensure that the show goes well into the future. We've been under attack. We've been censored. We've been banned everywhere. Our advertisers have been attacked. And so Subscribestar is like the only place we can ensure a consistent flow of funding for the show. So subscribe over there for $2 a month, $5 a month. You get access to exclusive content. It helps the show. And if we can get we're at like 200 now. If we can get like 500, 600 to 1,000, we will ensure that the show goes well into the future and the work that I do goes well into the future. So make sure to check it out. Links are in the description below. Since we've been banned from every mainstream platform that exists, we need your support for the show to survive. You can support by subscribing to my Subscribestar for $5 a month to get access to exclusive content and more at other tiers. You can also support by using cryptocurrency, our P.O. Box, and as always, going to preparewithvincent.com or waterwithvincent.com to get your 25-year shelf life dry food supply or water filter systems. Check out dailyveracity.com/support to find all the links. It helps the show tremendously.